Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. Every now and then we run across some content that not only do we want to benefit from it and take from it and learn from it, but I want to share it with people. And I'm kind of active in the BiggerPockets Facebook groups, more so than on the forums, because there's a lot of people in the forums. But on the Facebook group, I started following because I would watch almost anything that Jay Scott put up. And then I find out he's got some books out. So I'm an Audible guy. I listen to those books. And I think this is like the fifth one coming out now. And so when I found out that Jay, who's here with us today, had this fifth book coming out, and the takeaway that struck home with me, and the reason why I wanted to bring Jay on here and ask him some questions, because this was my takeaway. I want to find out what yours is, Jay, and where the book came from and why you wrote it and who it's intended for. And this is something I say often. I say, there's no one right way to invest in real estate, but there is a one right way for you. And the way this book was written, when you're a co-author with David Meyer, and you guys were talking about how there's no way to know if a deal is good or bad by just looking at the numbers. You also have to know what your goal is. And then here's how you look at the numbers. So the new book coming out is Real Estate by the Numbers. And Jay, if you could take just a few minutes, just because maybe not everybody else out there is going to fanboy out like I am, but if they don't know who you are, can you tell me a little bit about your investing and the books that you've written?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am an engineer by education and former career. So if anybody has listened to me or heard me, they'll know I'm not probably the most eloquent speaker. I'm not a motivational speaker, but I do approach things from a very formulaic and I guess textbook sort of way. I started investing in real estate, left my tech job in 2008, started investing in real estate, flipped about 450 houses over the next decade. 2018-ish, transitioned into multifamily and syndication, so doing larger deals. Have been doing that for the past 4 or 5 years. And since 2013, as you mentioned, I guess I've written 5 books. I do it just because I very much enjoy educating. And so I write on topics that either I believe I can write a better book than what's out there, or there's a topic that I feel like hasn't been adequately covered in the literature. And so I've written a book on flipping houses, a book on estimating rehab costs, a book on negotiating for real estate investors. I wrote a book a few years ago on economic cycles and how to invest throughout economic cycles. And then this most recent book is called Real Estate by the Numbers. And this book is, well, I like the title. In fact, I came up with the title. If I were to retitle it, and I think Dave and I have talked about if we were to retitle it, we'd probably call it something like Think Like an Investor. Because that's what this book is really about. It's how do successful investors think about their deals, and it's everything from the high-level strategic aspects. So what are the high-level concepts and foundational strategies that we use to invest, down to the most detailed part of underwriting and running the numbers and the formulas and kind of everything in between. We wanted to create frameworks. But we also wanted to dig down into the math and examples. And so it's kind of both a high level overview, and it's also a textbook type underwriting and deal analysis book and everything in between. So the expectation is hopefully those who aren't really math savvy or aren't comfortable with math, they'll sit down and read it cover to cover. And hopefully we explain things in ways that are more inviting and gentler than most people explain these concepts. And then for those who are more math savvy and are comfortable with the numbers, we think this will be a great textbook or reference manual to kind of pick up and just kind of, if you need a refresher on some topic or some formula or some concept, they can pick up that book and just jump to that chapter and do so.
So for the people who are familiar with my content, one thing I hear in the comments often, and this comes from I got laid off in 2008. So I started investing right around the time you did, but I had very different goals. So our way of investing would look different, but I've used a lot of the strategies that you talk about. My goal was to reach financial freedom with the least amount of properties, with the most amount of cash flow. So the least amount of headaches. I've never been a flipper or anything. And what I've found is a lot of people talk about, when I explain something in a video, I hear in the comments, you explain it so simple. What I've found in real estate is that engineers tend to kill it because they look at everything so structured. What is the steps? What is the progress? How do you project long-term versus short-term goals? And like all the ways an engineer looks at it. So what I've done is I've followed Jay on Facebook, on BiggerPockets forums, and through your books. And I think that if there's people out there who enjoy my content, that you like the systematic way that I break things down into like its most simple components, which is my goal. It comes from, since I got laid off from a police department in 2008, I ran a truck driving school, and I was teaching. It was always their first time driving a big, huge truck. So I had to explain it simply. That's how I learned, and that's how I've learned from your content. So what I'm going to be doing is giving away a free Audible version. Well, not free. I'm going to buy it and send it to you on my Tuesday live stream. So I'll be doing this coming Tuesday. In the comments below, if you have a favorite book by Jay Scott, let me know which one it is. And if you don't have one because you haven't read them, put the name of this book in there, because it's going to be the one I'm giving away. And I will use, of course, the normal traditional way that I give away my books on my channel, if you're familiar with that, on Tuesday. So I look forward to seeing you there. If somebody was starting right now, investing in 2022 with all the chaos, when almost every year there's been a reason, somebody's been saying, here's why you should wait, here's why you shouldn't invest, like for the last decade, especially in the last 2 years, how would you tell somebody to start today?
So 2 answers to that question. First, I would tell anybody that was looking to start from scratch today, and I would say this whether it's today or 2 years ago or 10 years ago, the first thing to do is before you invest is to actually spend time learning. And this is an especially good time to really spend that time building up a knowledge base, building up some expertise, because as everybody knows, the market's kind of in a crazy place right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know if things are going to kind of stay flat for the next few months or year, or if things are going to start to trend down and we're going to be in a recession, or who knows, maybe we'll even see a bump up and we'll see prices kind of spike again. I don't think it's likely, but who knows? We don't know. And so because there's so much economic uncertainty, what I would say for anybody that's starting out today, first thing to do is, 1, start reading. Start getting familiar with real estate, start getting familiar with the different business models that there are in real estate. And I'll talk a little bit about those in a minute. Start building your network. So reach out to other people in your community who want to do the same things you're doing, or maybe already doing the things you're doing, and start building that team and those resources, those other people. Because what you'll find is, as you grow in this business, you can't do everything yourself. And there's plenty of pithy quotes like your network is your net worth and all those things, but to a large degree, it's true. Your ability to build a team is going to determine how successful you are, because the team is really where the expertise comes from. None of us are smart enough to do everything in this business. Well, we're smart enough to do everything not well, but none of us is smart enough to do everything well in this business. And so having other people around you that are good at the things you're not good at, and you being good at the things they're not good at, is really the key to success. So start building relationships. And then third, figure out where the money's going to come from. Because at the end of the day, once you start investing, you need to have access to capital. Maybe it's your own capital, maybe it's borrowed capital from a bank or a lender, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's multiple partners. Maybe you're going to go after seller financing and you're going to get capital from the people you're buying properties from. Lots of different ways to get financing, but you need to figure that out now, because once you start making offers on deals, once you jump in, you really need to have that figured out. So the first 3 things I would say to anybody starting today: build your knowledge base, hop on BiggerPockets, go to local RIA meetings, meetup meetings, watch podcasts like this, watch all of Dion's podcasts on YouTube, and really start to learn and get expertise. Number 2, build that network, meet other people, build relationships, and 3, get your financing in order. So that's the first 3 things I tell anybody to do. For those who are actually ready to jump in, this is the way I like to think about real estate, or the framework of real estate deals. I think of deals as falling into one of 2 categories at the highest level, the 10,000-foot level. Deals are either transactional or they're cash flow or residual income, depending on what you want to call it. Transactional deals are those deals that you buy today, you do something with them, maybe you don't do anything to them, and then you turn around and sell them either tomorrow or next week or next month or a few months from now. So examples of that are things like house flips. Everybody's familiar with: you buy a house, you renovate it, you resell it. You can buy notes. You can buy a note, you can renovate a note, you can get payers who aren't paying to start paying, increase the value of the note, and you can resell the note. lots of different places in real estate where you can perform transactional type deals. You buy something, you improve it to some degree, and you resell it, hopefully for a profit. And then on the other side are those residual income or long-term hold type deals. And those are things like rental real estate. You buy a property, you generate cash flow from it and other benefits from it for a year, 2 years, 10 years, 30 years, however long it is. And then you sell it at some point down the road. But the goal isn't to profit from the sale necessarily. The goal isn't to profit from the sale necessarily. The goal is to profit during the time that you're holding it. And so examples of that, like I said, rental real estate or plenty of commercial niches, so self-storage or RV parks or multifamily. If you buy notes that are just performing notes, so notes that you just buy and you hold and you collect income every month. Lots of ways to generate long-term income from real estate where you don't necessarily expect to sell it for the profit. You're generating the profit while you're holding it. And so what I typically tell people is when the market's going up, that's a great time to be doing transactional type deals because the market's actually going to help you if you make any mistakes. If things are worth more tomorrow than they are today, then you buy something today. And even if you don't carry out your business plan exactly as you expected, hopefully tomorrow the market's going to improve and prices are going to go up and you're going to make money. If you do carry out your business plan well, you'll probably make even more money than you expected. So when we're kind of in what people refer to as a bull market, what I say is transactional deals are actually a great way to make money. Now, when the market is uncertain, we don't know where things are headed, or the market is headed downward, we're in a recession, or we're headed towards a recession, what I like to tell people is stay away from those transactional deals because something you buy today has the chance, or maybe there's a likelihood of it being worth less tomorrow. So not only can you not afford to make any mistakes, but you actually have to outperform your projections because the market's hurting you. So in times like now, when there's a lot of uncertainty, we may be heading towards a recession, I tell people stay away from those transactional type deals. Focus on the deals where you buy something, you hold it long term, and the benefits of that asset are being generated while you're holding it, not when you sell it. So what I tell people, if you're starting now, focus on rental real estate, focus on multifamily real estate, focus on other commercial asset classes like mobile home parks or self-storage or RV parks or industrial. Buy performing notes that the borrower is paying every month and you can just collect cash. So if you're starting today, focus on those long-term type of deals, stay away from the transactional type of deals, and you'll probably be okay.
What I really like about this is if people have been watching my content, they can see a lot of what you're saying and what I'm saying. And so I agree. Your first step is to educate yourself. People need to find someone the way I did. I found someone like you and I was like, okay, so how do you get this successful? You need to audit your network. And sometimes that doesn't mean eliminating people in your life, but finding new people in your life who are in the field and your local RIA meetups and in BiggerPockets that are trying to do what you're trying to do. And then I've talked a lot about how in the last 10 years, the burr investor, the flipper, you said it, the market can fix your mistakes. If your flip took 3 months longer because of delays, but prices went up, you look super smart.
Yep.
Currently, with the uncertainty that we have, buy and hold is the, you're not worrying about what's happening in the next year or two. You're looking at the next 5 or 10 years. So I agree. And I can actually see where a lot of my investing strategies have come from. So I really appreciate you writing your books. I miss the BiggerPockets business podcast. So if you ever do a podcast again, I would definitely check that out.
I have one coming out in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned.
Awesome. I look forward to that. If somebody has a question and they want to reach out, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the best way is connect with J Scott, just the letter J, connectwithjscott.com, and that will kind of take you out to everything you need to know. That'll take you out to my websites, to my books, my email if you want to send me an email and connect, but www.connectwithjscott.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on here today and sharing this. I really look forward to giving away this book, Real Estate by the Numbers. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
And someday, I'm going to be giving away copies of my own book.
But not today.